Well, good morning, Jagendra Rana here. The topic for our discussion today is importance of liability insurance. Importance of liability insurance. The liability insurance covers the legal liability of the insured for their act of negligence or breach of duty, either under common law or under specific enactment. Liability insurance covers only civil liability and not criminal liability. So compared to property insurance underwriting, keeping in view certain special factors such as intangibility, liability depending upon legal decisions and legal jurisdictions, inadequacy of statistical data, nature and gravity of legal action from third party for damages caused by the insured. So all these factors create lot many underwriting difficulties, especially in respect of determining the sum insured or indemnity limit. So rating the risk, deciding the coverage, exclusions, terms and conditions of the cover. The nature and amount of third-party liability depend on the judgment of court, which cannot be predicted or forecasted for assessing the loss forecasting. The increasing public awareness about the legal rights against the act of negligence or nuisance of others is giving rise to the larger amount of court awards unlike before. The product liability and D&O liability of the professional and the professional liability are some of the major areas that individuals and enterprises are encountering with larger amount of court awards for their act of negligence or nuisance. The courts in various parts of the countries are pronouncing verdicts for different amounts of awards against the same or similar nature of negligence or breach of duty. And neither the insured nor the insurer can predetermine the frequency or severity of loss like the property insurance in view of the past loss data. So the evolving civilization and the modernization of the life have been increasing the tendency for higher frequency and severity of liability losses or award as it appears from recent court judgments. So accordingly, liability underwriting is getting more and more critical both nationally and internationally. So liability risk is one of the emerging risks today over the world due to following factors: growing legal awareness of people, growing industrialization, urbanization and IT sector, growing complexities of life, availability of tailor-made new products or policies, increasing number of statutes to ensure public protection, increasing number of liability actions all over the world, high and increasing court awards on liability on breach of duty and lack of professional skills. So liability insurance also covers the insured strict liability or vicarious liability arising from the negligence or breach of duty of his employees and others under his care and supervision. It's very difficult for the insured and the insurer to properly predict the sources of the liability and the gravity of the negligence impacting the amount of liability awards and claims. Thus, liability insurance underwriting has become a specialized one, based on sound knowledge and skill of the underwriters about legal, technical, social and financial aspects, which will be discussed in general as well as in particular for the product concerned. So as far as underwriting considerations are concerned, these basically include risk analysis and case study, examination of the origin of legal liability risk, types of liability policies, application of principle of insurance, classification of covers, rating process. So these fundamental aspects which are generally considered for underwriting every liability insurance are important. However, these aspects are examined more specifically in a particular liability policy. As far as risk analysis and case study is concerned, the risk identification and risk analysis are the fundamental steps towards insurance underwriting. For risk analysis and liability insurance, a detailed study called a case study is a must for an underwriter. So about the case study, we need to know more common questionnaire on risk identification for liabilities. What types of activities are carried out by the prospect or the proposer? What is the volume of the business or activities of the prospects? What sort of third-party legal liability risks are involved in the activities of the prospects? Whether all those legal risks are insurable? If yes, what could be the general trend of court awards, both probability and severity? What is the area or spread of activities, local, regional, national, or global? What is the legal jurisdiction and trend of the court awards? What parties might be harmed by firm, customer, supplier, etc.? How might these parties be harmed? What are the security measures taken by the prospects to minimize probability and severity? What is the potential magnitude of the damage? What is the potential magnitude of the defense cost? Will revenues decline on possible damage to firm's reputation? What is the potential magnitude of the loss? So what actions may reduce this indirect loss and at what cost? Will products likely to be abandoned or product recalled? So will the firm have to raise additional capital if cash flow declines? Could large uninsured losses push up firms into financial distress? What is the past experience of loss and what preventive actions taken by the prospects? What is the next possible event which may affect the existing probability and severity? And last but not least, what are the existing liability insurance covers and the insurers, if any? What are the existing liability insurance covers and the insurers, if any? Now let's see a case study. There are a few questions. Certain example for risk identification and analysis can be programmed into a detailed and systematic study called case study. In property insurance underwriting, the risk analysis is basically based on COP, COP. COP study, while liability insurance requires case study. The risk analysis and prudent underwriting, rating the risk and deciding coverage, exclusions and terms and conditions. Now, COP includes construction, occupation, protective measures, and external exposures. I repeat, COP includes construction, occupation, protective measures, and external exposures. In property insurance, COP study is carried out through the thorough analysis of the following fundamental aspects concerning the subject matter of insurance. That is construction of property, occupation of property, protective measures for property, and external exposures to the property. Importantly, our COP study is generally carried out by way of risk inspection and risk analysis of the subject matter of insurance for fire, marine, motor, and engineering insurance. So this COP study is carried out and other class of property insurance, for example, administration department, different parameters and process with some relaxations. But a liability insurance case study needs to be carried seriously and systematically in particular process with properly designed questionnaires and program for all types of liabilities. Since subject matter of insurance is invisible and contingent upon legal decisions for damages payable to third party due to accident caused by negligence or wrongful acts of the insured or his employees. So the case study is helpful as against the COP because case study needs to be carried seriously and systematically in particular process with properly designed questionnaire and program for all types of liabilities. Since subject matter of insurance is invisible and contingent upon legal decisions for damages payable to third party due to accident caused by negligence or wrongful acts of the insured or his employees. Thank you.